There are certain rooms in this world that were never meant to be opened. They exist in forgotten corners of buildings, where the air grows too still and silence presses down like a heavy blanket. The kind of rooms that don't show up on the booking app, the kind that don't appear on the receptionist's system. But they're there. Always there. In towns both big and small. In cities that never sleep. In hotels with polished tiles, glowing reception signs, and smiling staff who are trained to say nothing. Ask anyone who has worked in a hotel long enough, they'll tell you the truth in fragments. Some rooms just feel wrong. We skip them during cleaning. Once someone checks in, they don't come back down. Management says not to ask questions. It's never the biggest room, never the flashiest. Just one door among many, usually marked with a number that feels innocent enough. Like room 9. No one ever books it directly. Sometimes it's offered when all other rooms are full. Other times it appears to be a clerical mistake. But every so often someone walks in with confidence and walks out different, if they walk out at all. A room that doesn't just hide secrets, it feeds on them. And it all began with a woman named Adaora, a 28-year-old event planner with big dreams and little time. Adaora wasn't new to hotels. She'd slept in everything from wooden lodges to 5-star suites. She had rules. Check the bathroom first, never use the kettle, and always say a short prayer before sleeping. But that night, she was tired. A last-minute job had brought her to a mid-sized town not far from the capital. Her client, a wealthy businessman's daughter, was getting married. The reception ran late. Heavy rain started. Her phone was dying. The driver who was meant to take her back to her booked accommodation canceled last minute. And that's when one of the bridesmaids, a friendly girl named Bisola, leaned in and whispered, "There's a hotel just 5 minutes away. Clean, quiet, not fancy, but it's close." Adaora didn't argue. She took the address, got a ride, and arrived at the hotel gate just after 11 p.m. It was modest, painted white and gray, a single security man at the entrance. The front desk light flickered slightly as she walked in. The receptionist, a soft-spoken lady, looked up. "Good evening, Ma. We only have one room left." Adaora, now soaked from the rain, nodded quickly. "I'll take it. Please sign here." The key card was handed to her. Room 9. Adaora didn't notice the hesitation in the receptionist's eyes. She didn't hear the cleaner behind the wall mutter a silent prayer. She didn't see the old CCTV camera that pointed directly at the hallway where room 9 was. She just wanted to sleep. She never came back down. As Adaora turned the key, the door creaked open with surprising ease. The lights came on by themselves. The room was spotless. Cream-painted walls, a neatly made bed with crisp white sheets, a reading desk, a large mirror above the headboard, and a curtain drawn over the single window. But the moment she stepped inside, the air changed. The room wasn't cold or warm. It was still. Too still. She placed her handbag on the desk and sat gently on the bed. Then she noticed the smell. Not unpleasant, not rotten, just old. Like dust that had settled deep into the walls for years, like something forgotten. She shrugged it off, removed her shoes, reached for her charger. That's when the mirror flickered. Adaora turned. Nothing had moved. But for a second, she was certain she had seen herself blink while her real eyes were still. She stood up slowly and walked to the mirror. "You're just tired," she whispered. She touched the surface. It felt warm. After settling down, she entered the bathroom to wash her hands. The sink looked new. The tiles were spotless. She turned the tap. Water flowed, then stopped on its own. And that's when she saw it. A single drop of thick red liquid forming at the corner of the tap. She stepped back immediately. The drop fell into the basin. Another followed. "Is this a joke?" She turned on the tap again. "Clean water." She closed it. Nothing more dripped. She bent closer, touched the basin, dry. She looked at her finger. No stain, but her reflection, still dripping. Adaora stumbled back and left the bathroom. She decided to sleep. She lay down. The lights turned off by themselves. The TV turned on. A news channel. She hadn't touched the remote. She was too tired to care. Until she heard the knock. Not at the door. From inside the wall. One knock, then another. Steady, rhythmic. Like someone trapped and knocking in code. She got up slowly. Touched the wall. Nothing. She whispered again. "You're tired, Adaora. That's all." But in the mirror, her reflection had already gotten up. 3 weeks after Adaora vanished, a man named Chukwudi, a delivery truck driver, arrived at the hotel after midnight. He wasn't supposed to stop for the night, but he had driven 11 hours straight and couldn't go on. The receptionist on duty was new. She didn't know the rules. She gave him room 9. He laughed when he saw the faded brass number on the door. Number 9. That's my lucky number. But it wouldn't be lucky that night. Chukwudi dropped his bag, took off his shoes, and went straight to the bathroom. But the bathroom was already wet, not with water, with something thick, black, and muddy, like footprints walked in from a swamp. He called reception. No answer. He wiped the floor with a towel, turned to leave. But the bathroom door wouldn't open. He pulled, twisted the knob. It remained shut. Then, the lights in the mirror blinked, and from inside the mirror, a dark figure walked toward him. But it wasn't in the room, only in the mirror, and the reflection reached out, raising one finger, pointing straight at him. Chukwudi slammed the door repeatedly. He wasn't the superstitious type, but something wasn't right. Then he heard it. "Chukwudi," a voice, familiar, like his late grandmother's. "Come and rest." He turned back toward the mirror. There she was, standing in the reflection, wrinkled, smiling, arms open. He dropped the towel, backed away slowly. The sink tap turned on. The light flickered. The room grew colder. The reflection didn't fade. It reached out and touched the other side of the mirror. And that's when Chukwudi's body stiffened. His breath slowed. His eyes glazed over. The lights went out. By morning, room 9 was empty again. No trace of Chukwudi, no bag, no towel, nothing. Just one muddy footprint in the middle of the bathroom. Omawunmi had just completed her NYSC orientation camp. She had been posted to the town for her primary assignment at a small private school. The school's lodge was still under renovation, and her allowance hadn't been paid. She needed a cheap, temporary place to stay, just for 2 nights. A kind woman at the bus stop directed her to the hotel. "Tell them you're a corper. They might help." The manager offered her a discount. "Room 4 is being fumigated. Room 2 is leaking. Well, only room 9 is available." She hesitated. "Is it okay?" "Of course. Very peaceful." He didn't meet her eyes. She was too tired to argue. She entered room 9, and for the first few hours, everything was perfect. Soft bed, working fan, cool air. She even laughed when the lights flickered. Until midnight, when her phone lit up with dozens of missed calls, from numbers she didn't recognize. She answered one. "Hello?" The voice on the other end whispered, "Run." She dropped the phone. The mirror began vibrating gently. The bathroom tap turned on, and a soft lullaby began playing from under the bed. She bent down slowly and found nothing. But her bedsheet was no longer white. It had turned ashy gray, with strange circular stains forming around her feet. She stood up, breathing fast. Suddenly, the closet door creaked open, and a pair of eyes blinked from inside, her own eyes. Omawunmi screamed, but no sound came out. Janet had worked at the hotel for 3 years. She had her rules. Never enter room 9. Never touch the folder on the manager's desk. Never question why some guests checked in and never checked out. But lately, she had been seeing things. Towels folded into strange symbols. Blood-like streaks on clean sheets. Room keys that vanished from the drawer and returned stained. Then one day, she opened the laundry basket and found a corpor's khaki trousers, soaked and smelling of rust. But no record of the guest existed. No file, no booking, no trace of payment, just like Adaora, just like Chukwudi. She reported to Mr. Felix. He looked at her slowly, smiled faintly, and said, "Mind your duty, Janet. Some rooms take more than guests. They take memory, too." She walked away. That night, her left eye bled in her sleep. Janet couldn't sleep that night. The image of the corpor's trousers soaked in rust, the bleeding from her left eye, the memory of room 9's cold corridor, always slightly darker than the rest of the hotel. It played over and over in her mind. At 2:47 a.m., she sat up in her bunk, stared at the ceiling fan, and whispered to herself, "I need to know what's behind that door." By morning, she was back in uniform, but her hands shook when she picked up her mop. Instead of starting with room 1, she walked slowly to room 9's hallway. She wasn't going to enter, just observe. But the door was slightly open. There was no guest logged for the room the night before. Her heart pounded. She stepped in, one foot after the other. It smelled like lavender and old ashes. Nothing seemed out of place. But the bed was not properly laid. She bent down to straighten the sheet, and something brushed her hand from underneath the mattress. She pulled back instantly, then slowly, courage rising with every second, she reached again. A folded, brownish paper lay beneath the bed. It was damp, old, fraying at the corners. She unfolded it. A handwritten note in shaky cursive. "If you're reading this, it means you've entered. Get out before midnight. They come when the walls breathe. Room 9 feeds on memory. Leave. Tell no one, or you'll forget you ever existed." Her hand trembled. She turned around. The mirror shimmered faintly, and behind her reflection stood a girl, hair damp, eyes hollow, holding a corpor's khaki cap. Janet ran out of the room, nearly knocking over the hallway vase. She didn't stop running until she reached the laundry room, but by then her legs were weak. She collapsed on the chair, note still in hand. She tried to call her sister, but she couldn't remember her number. She tried to recall her mother's name. Nothing. Tears welled up in her eyes. Room 9 wasn't killing people. It was erasing them, piece by piece. That night, Janet didn't go home. She slept in the lobby, refusing to be alone. By morning, she could barely remember why she was so afraid. The note in her hand had turned blank. No writing. Just a tear-stained piece of paper and a faint, muddy fingerprint on the corner. Mr. Felix, the manager, had worked at the hotel for 22 years. He had watched owners change, staff come and go, renovations begin and pause. But room 9 had never moved. Not during floor expansions, not during plumbing overhauls. Even when the engineers came in to upgrade all door locks, they skipped room 9. It wasn't listed on their blueprint. It never was. Mr. Felix knew more than he said. He had once seen the mirror fog up while the AC was off. He had once seen a boy's shadow crawl across the wall when the room was empty. He had even locked the door with chains one year, only for the door to unlock itself and swing open quietly at 3:09 a.m. He tried to burn the room's curtains once. They wouldn't catch fire. He once quit, left town, traveled to his village. But within 2 months, he was back. He didn't remember resigning, didn't know why he left, didn't even know where he had been. Room 9 was never just a room. It was a door that opened one way and never closed. Ngozi followed her daughter Abub for their school's spelling bee competition. But they couldn't travel back after the competition was over because they finished late and she hates to travel at night, so they decided to lodge in a hotel. The moment they entered into room 9 that evening, strange things began to happen. A boob stood in front of the mirror, talking to the girl with hollow eyes, and when her mother, who just finished bathing, came out, asked her who she was talking to, she said she was talking to the girl inside the mirror. Ngozi shouted, "Which girl is in the mirror?" She immediately pulled a boob closer and whispered, "Let's leave this hotel before it gets dark." It felt strange immediately we entered. "We can't lodge here." Iboob's father, Dr. Emenike, had always been a man of science. He was a neurosurgeon, logical to a fault. But when Ngozi returned home with their daughter, quiet, pale, and emotionally unresponsive, he knew something was deeply wrong. She wasn't sick. Her vitals were fine, but her spirit was elsewhere. One night, while Iboob stared silently at the ceiling, she whispered, "I hear them calling from the mirror." That was the final push. Dr. Emenike called in a favor. A former patient-turned-friend, Detective Nosa, known for handling unusual cases in quiet towns. He shared everything. The hotel's name, the odd room number, his daughter's whispers. Nosa took interest immediately. "That's not the first time I'm hearing about that place." Detective Nosa arrived unannounced. He wore a simple suit, carried a worn leather notebook, and had sharp, observant eyes that missed nothing. He didn't introduce himself at first. He simply walked in, sat in the reception lobby, and waited. Watched. By evening, he had noticed everything. The way the front desk officer avoided glancing toward room 9's hallway. How the cleaning staff always skipped it on their duty list. And how the security guard clenched his jaw each time someone walked past that corridor. He booked a room for 2 nights. Room 5. But at night, he strolled the hall, stared at room 9's door, listened. Then he called a contact, an elderly man from his childhood town, a man known only as Pa Uche. "The room again?" the old man whispered over the phone. "You know about it?" "Not the room. The market carries. The land remembers." Long before the hotel was built, the land had been owned by a man named Chief Daramola, a wealthy landowner rumored to have built his wealth on forbidden sacrifices. In the late 1950s, the area where the hotel stood was thick with trees. In its heart was a shrine, buried underground, known only to a secret cult of 7 elders. Room 9 stood directly above the exact spot where the shrine's altar had been sealed. When the hotel was built in the late 90s, they attempted to remove the foundation stone placed by the elders. The lead architect died 3 days later. The workers stopped. The owners, desperate to complete the building, were advised by an unknown priest to leave the foundation stone where it lies and build around it. They did. Room 9 was built over the altar. The stone was never moved, but the shrine beneath remained awake. The next morning, Janet noticed Detective Nosa watching her. He approached gently, voice low. "You've seen things, haven't you?" She froze. "You've heard things, lost things." She nodded. "It's not your fault, but you're still alive, which means the room hasn't chosen you, yet." That night, they met in the laundry room. She brought the blank note. He brought a vial of red palm oil blessed by a prophet. They agreed. They would enter room 9 together, just for 10 minutes, no longer. At exactly 2 a.m., the corridor was silent. Room 9's door, as always, was slightly ajar. Janet held the flashlight. Nosa carried the palm oil, rubbing it on his forehead and whispering a psalm. They stepped in. The room felt colder than before. The walls pulsed faintly. The light bulb blinked like a heartbeat. The mirror didn't reflect them. Instead, it showed an empty forest with 7 elders sitting in a circle, chanting. Then, the floor beneath the bed cracked slightly. Janet gasped. Nosa dropped to his knees, pressing his hand against the wood. He felt it. Stone. Still warm. The altar was still there. Suddenly, whispers filled the room. You were warned. You brought others. You broke the silence. The room spun. Janet fainted. Nosa grabbed her, dragging her out. The door slammed shut behind them. Janet awoke in the staff sick bay, trembling. Her body was cold, but her head burned with memories that didn't belong to her. She remembered chanting. She remembered standing among a circle of elders. She remembered looking down and seeing herself lying on the hotel floor. Detective Nosa sat beside her, exhausted. He hadn't slept. He was still holding the vial of red palm oil, now cracked at the base. We barely made it out, he whispered, and we won't survive another entry. They both knew it now. Room 9 wasn't just cursed. It was alive, and it had fed on too many souls. Nosaha knew the truth had to come out, but he also knew the authorities wouldn't listen without evidence. He called Pa Uche again, this time putting the phone on speaker. Destroy the altar, the old man said, but you must do it before midnight. After midnight, the room seals itself again, for another 7 years. Janet gasped. 7 years? Yes, and by then it would have grown hungrier. They had just 6 hours. Nosa borrowed tools from a nearby construction site, a crowbar, 2 sledgehammers, and rope. He asked Janet to gather salt, palm oil, and a Bible. They informed no one. At exactly 11 p.m., they returned to room 9. But this time, they weren't alone. A man stood in the hallway, Mr. Felix, the manager. I can't let you do this, he said calmly. You knew, Nosa replied, stepping forward. I was chosen. Before me, it was the owner. Before him, the builder. Room 9 keeps this hotel alive. Janet shouted. At what cost? Lives have been lost. Felix's eyes darkened. That's the price of power. Nosa didn't hesitate. He pushed the door open. This time, it didn't resist. They stormed inside. They began with the floor. Nosa smashed the wooden planks, revealing the foundation beneath. The altar stone, black, cracked, pulsing like a living organ, lay beneath a bed of ashes. Whispers filled the room. Turn back. You are not worthy. Janet threw salt around the altar's edges. Nosa poured the red palm oil on it, reciting Psalm 91 aloud. The air grew thick. The mirror shattered. The closet door slammed repeatedly. The bed caught fire, not with flames, but a dark red mist that sizzled and howled. Then, the ground began to tremble. They had minutes. With one final blow, Nosa raised the sledgehammer and smashed the altar. It cracked, then cracked again, and exploded into a cloud of thick black smoke, rushing out of the broken floor like a spirit being chased from its throne. The room screamed. Yes, it screamed. And then, silence. Real silence. No heartbeat walls, no whispering vents. Just stillness. They stumbled out. Janet collapsed in the hallway, sobbing. Mr. Felix was gone, and room 9 was now just a dark, empty shell. Within days, rumors spread like wildfire. People began to talk. Names of the missing resurfaced. Families came forward. News outlets caught the scent. And suddenly, the hotel was shut down. Police investigations uncovered skeletons beneath the floor, bones, toothbrushes, fragments of clothing, things that were never supposed to be found. Mr. Felix was never seen again. But room 9 was sealed with bricks, cemented shut. The hallway was repainted, but locals still say, the corridor feels cold, even now. This story is not just fiction, it is a cautionary tale. When you travel, when you lodge, be discerning. Before you check in, send someone the hotel's name, share your room number. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And if the receptionist offers you room 9, say no. Because some rooms aren't meant to be slept in. Some rooms, remember, And some rooms never let go. Some stories leave you haunted, but this one should leave you wiser. In a world where not everything is as it seems, always trust your instincts. And remember, not every key opens the door to peace. Some unlock your nightmare. If this story touched you, drop a comment. If it gave you chills, share it with someone you care about. And if you've ever lodged somewhere strange, tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another tale here on African Tales by Amayday, where every story holds a lesson and every voice echoes from the soul of Africa. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and whatever you do, never sleep in a room that chooses you.